It's a bitterly cold morning on the Ovens River, but I'm going crayfishing and I'm excited. Hey you're watching Robbie Fishing. Now the forecast for this morning was -6. I'm not quite sure. Look at that, while I'm filming my introduction, there's a fox running across that sandbar down there. Anyway, I'm not quite sure if it got to -6. My car thermometer said that it's -3 on the way down. It's a very heavy frost this morning. The paddocks were white. It looks like it's been snowing. It's so cold that I saw a snowman having a meltdown on the way down here. And we all know that the coldest time of day is when the sun first comes up. So if it's -3 now, it's going to get worse. Incredible. But I'm going to put some cray nets in and see if I can catch some crayfish. I just spent all morning thawing out this bait. Now I'm going to freeze it again while I'm tying it in the nets. Right, I've got 4 nets here. I think I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 or something like that. Somebody in the YouTube comments on one of my recent videos at Lacrium Hovel suggested that I get these fingerless possum fur gloves. They actually work really well. They're really good. Now, how do I get these nets down there? Like that. How do I get this big man down there? He's not going to end well. Oh, like that. Easy. Lucky I'm fit. This net didn't appear to survive that fall. I'll see if I can get that back together. If not, I may have a hose clamp in the car. You know, a little repair kit that I've got there. Right, I came fishing here only a few days before the cray season opened and I caught a few crayfish on my fishing rods, so I know they're here. Just whether or not they're biting today is anyone's guess. This first net has got a little bit of yellow belly offcuts in it and that can go just out there. And this second net, and I've got gumboots on, but I've got to be really careful walking out here because I just cannot afford to slip over. Slipping over into that water on a -6 degree morning wouldn't be all that pleasant, I wouldn't imagine. This net has a chicken Maryland fillet in it. If you saw my cray opening video, you'll be familiar with the story of the chicken Maryland fillets. Net number 3, it has a dodgy rim. I'm going to see if I've got some stuff in my car to fix that when I go up. You can just go in here. Oh, that net's got a chicken frame in it. It was left over from Sonny. When we went on cray opening, he had a spare one, so he gave it to me because he knew I was coming back out. Right, 4th and final net has some yellow belly offcuts in it as well, so I'll put that over there. That's actually not very far from that net, is it? I'll put it there to start with and I can move it if I need to. What time is it?
It's 7:45 a.m.
7:45. I'll give them a little while. I'm not going to put a time on it because I usually stuff it up anyway. I got 4 nets in. When I come down next, I've got to bring some sticks. I want to put some sticks in the bank for these nets, particularly those 2. I just worry that the current will grab the rope and drag the float into the river. So I want to put a stick there just to wrap them around. So I've got to bring a couple of sticks down and I've got to see if I've got a hose clamp in my car and a screwdriver to repair that net. Alright, I'll be back down in 7:15. Let's just be realistic. I'm not going to wait an hour. Let's see if I can go to 7:10. Let's see if I can give him 25 minutes. There's even frost on this tree root here that I'm going to use to climb up with. Wow. Come up onto the icy ground. See this? I put this together a couple of years ago. It's like my emergency crayfishing kit. It's got some hose clamps for when those rims come open like that. That does happen from time to time. There's a few hose clamps in there. And there's a really small, or 2 really small flathead screwdrivers in there. And I just carry them in my crayfishing bucket for these times so that I can repair nets when that happens, because it has happened before and it will happen again. Well, you can see the sun hitting the water through there with the mist coming off the water. It looks amazing. Anyway, you won't believe it. It's 7:10. I lasted as long as I said I would. Oh, I forgot to bring the sticks down for me floats. I did bring me crayfish repair kit for this net though, so I'll check this one first so that I can repair it. And that will just allow those other nets to stay in a bit longer. And I've got a little crayfish. I'm off to a good start. One littly. What are you on your back, mate? Excuse the mud on his head, but I'm on the board. Throw him back over there where I got him. I'll fix this net and that'll just give those other nets a couple of extra minutes. Right, hopefully that gets me out of trouble. I'm on the board with a little cray. Right, let's go check these other nets. I'm excited now. I'm after a feed of crayfish today. I don't keep them all the time, but once or twice a season I like to keep a couple for a feed, just like everyone else. They are magnificent eating. I've taken my gloves off to keep them dry. Now, because these nets are all in close proximity to each other, I'll leave them out and check them all and then throw them all back in at the same time, just so that the splash doesn't disrupt the crayfish too much. And nothing in that one. Oh, that's the one that I've got the highest expectations on. Maybe that's because they're all in this one. How does it feel? Yeah, there's one in here. I reckon it feels a little bit heavier than the last one. No, nothing. Maybe they don't like yellow belly offcuts. Do I really have to put my hand in the water here? Right, what about this one? It's heavy. It feels heavy. Oh yes, it's got one in and it could well be a legal crayfish. Have I got a legal cray? I reckon I have, you know. If that hasn't got eggs, I reckon I've got a keeper. There's the minimum. Yep, it's just over. I can, it's legal, it's certainly legal. I can keep that. And I've got room for an upgrade if I want to put it back later. Beauty! I'm on the board with a keeper, my first keeper of the season. So, there was one crayfish in each of the chicken nets and nothing in either of the yellow belly nets. Maybe chicken's the go. Chicken is my favourite crayfish bait. I just had heaps of offcuts and stuff in the freezer for the last few weeks that I've been saving up for cray season. Now I'm making space in my freezer. Alright, let's try this. That's way out there. This one can go over there a bit more. Now let's take a look at this. If you look on here, you can see where the measurement's got to go to, from the back of the eye socket to the very back of the carapace where it breaks into the tail. So that is that bit there. Not that bit there, that bit back there. You can see that line there, the front one, it goes to the back one. So let's get a measurement. It's always good to have a double check, especially when they're close. And that's in, because it's got to go to the back here. So it's actually in by about 4 or 5 millimetres. Even if it was the front one, it'd be right on, but it's in by a few millimetres, so it's on the smaller size of the legal slot limit that we're allowed to keep them, but it's a legal size, and I'm going to take that one home and cook it up. If I get 2 legal ones that are bigger than that, I'll put this one back and keep them instead, as long as you don't have any more than 2. We're starting to get a little bit of meltage going on here. I just looked at the photo of that crayfish that I kept to see what time I took the photo. It's been 35 minutes since I took that photo, so it's been around 35 to 40 minutes, and that's plenty long enough. Now I've got to do a special little dance to get down here.
You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round.
Look at that. Easy. Let's check this net first this time. What's the call? No, it's quite light. Maybe one little one. Oh, two! I'm so bad at this. That's my first double for the season. What I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this bigger one for a measure, and I'll throw this smaller one back. They're probably similar, but this one's a little bit smaller, so that can go back in there. I'm going to give this one a measure and see if he's legal or not. He could be just under, I reckon. And I know he's legal. He's the same as the other one. Yeah, he's actually about 1 millimetre bigger than the other one. Wow, I've got my bag limit. Right, I'll put him in there. They'll, what normally happens when you put two crayfish in the one bucket like that, they'll have a little bit of an argument at first until they get to know each other, and then they'll just settle down and sit there quietly. Oh, I've got my bag limit. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep craying, and I can hear my voice echoing. Echo, 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 echo. Must be the steep bank. I'll talk softer then. I'm going to keep crayfishing and try and get an upgrade, try and get a bigger one, because if I catch a bigger legal one, I can throw that one of them back. Oh, I still forgot my sticks. I went and got them, and they're just sitting on the bank just up there. I actually put them right next to the bank where I climbed down, and still forgot to bring them. Oh well. The floats aren't going too far. Oh, this is very heavy. Yeah, this has got 3 in it. Oh, it's got a monster in it, that's why. Now, if that's legal, it might be oversized. It doesn't have eggs, I don't think. I'm pretty sure it's got no eggs. So if that's legal, which I reckon it will be, I'll throw one of these other ones back, because that will mean that I've upsized. But it could be oversized, so we'll have a look. Alright, get them claws together. Right, that's the minimum. Well and truly over the minimum. And look, it's a bit over. It's about 2 millimetres over size. Oh well. It's critically important that we abide by the rules at all times, because, and I'll tell you why, that's the future of crayfishing right there. That's now protected for the rest of its life, no matter how long it lives. That's provided people do the right thing, that's protected forever, and that can go and spawn with other big females that are protected forever. Mate, you've made it through the last few seasons, and now you're safe. See you later, mate. I almost had an upgrade. Wow, that looks so cool. I'll leave the net out. Let's go and check this one. Gee whiz, I'm having a dream run this morning. My opening day was a bit slow, but this is going better. That's not even very deep, that one. That might have been sitting on a log, I reckon. I'll put it out this way. This is the net that I repaired. This had a small crayfish in it earlier when I checked it, and it's got something in it because it's heavy. Whoa, I've got 4 crayfish. One of them's a legal cray. Is it bigger than the others or about the same? I'll get a photo of that. Gee, it was heavy when I pulled it up. That's why. It's got 4 quite decent sized crays in it. Well, that one can go back. That one can go back. I'm going to measure this one. If it hasn't got eggs, which it hasn't, I'll measure that one. I only caught 4 or 5 all up in my opening session. Today I've already caught, I've lost count, I think I've caught 8 or 9 already. Well, what I'll do, I'll leave that one there to sort itself out while I go and measure this other one. It's making its way back. It's going to take long. There you go, mate. Give you a bit of an assistance. Now the other 2 are just legal, just a bit over the minimum. And then I caught the one that was over. Yeah, that's well under 12. And that's bigger. Yeah, that's well over the minimum. That's probably about 11. So there's the minimum there. And it's well over that. There's the maximum. It's under that. Yeah, that's a good one. That's an upgrade. You can see it's actually bigger. I'll put them on the ground. You can actually just see by looking that it's got quite a bigger tail. There's quite a bit of difference between a 10 and a 12 centimetre cray. Alright, go in there and get to know your new flatmate. You, my friend, can go back where you came from. See you later, mate. Alright, they can go back out there where it was. This one can go back out there. That one there, I already threw that one back in without thinking. But that's okay. The repaired net can go back out there where it was. All is good. While I sit here looking at this beautiful landscape and just thanking God for allowing me to live in such a beautiful place, I just want to respond to a couple of comments that I get on my crayfishing videos from time to time. I often get people saying, you're only allowed to keep 2 crayfish a day. It's not worth going, it's ridiculous. And I also get people saying you shouldn't be allowed to catch them at all, they should be protected, there's not enough around. So on one hand I've got people saying we should be allowed to keep more, and on the other hand I've got people saying that we should be allowed to keep less, we shouldn't be allowed to keep any. So basically when I was a kid, we used to come down here crayfishing all the time. Back then, the size limit was 9 centimetres. There was a minimum of 9 centimetres and there was no maximum. There was no slot limit, so it had to be over 9 centimetres from its eye to its tail. These days it's 10, but then there's a maximum of 12 centimetres. But back then, there was no slot, so if it was over 9 centimetres, you could keep it. So that big one that I threw back before could be in the bucket right now. And there was a bag limit, I think it was 10 per day at one stage, and then it went down to 5 per day. Now, I could have kept probably 4 or 5, or at 9 centimetres, I probably could have kept 8 or 9 crayfish already today. But what happened was that numbers quickly became depleted, and it got to the point where we couldn't catch many crayfish. So they changed the laws and brought in the slot limit and increased the minimum, and now we're only allowed to catch 2 a day. Now, while that might not seem like very many, I'm thankful for the current laws because now we're able to come down and catch crayfish. There seems to be a lot more, and something that we've got to factor into the equation, there's a lot more people down the rivers crayfishing and fishing now than what there was when I was a kid 40 years ago. There was 1 or 2 people here and there, and now there's people everywhere. Not just in fishing, in snow skiing, in golf, in metal detecting, in gold prospecting. The population has just exploded. Our population is growing exponentially. It's getting more and more people, and as a result there's more and more pressure on our fisheries. So having a tighter slot limit, a bag limit of 2 with a slot limit, makes good sense to me. And as long as the crayfishing is thriving like it is, it'll probably stay that way. Should the numbers decrease, well then fisheries might look at banning it completely, but at this stage I don't think that's necessary at all. In New South Wales, you're allowed to crayfish only in 2 sections, a section of the Murrumbidgee River and a section of the Murray River, and you'll need to check up on the rules. I don't want to talk about that in case I get it wrong, but I know roughly where they are. All other waterways are closed to protect crayfish and help them bounce back. In Victoria, you can go Murray crayfishing anywhere where there are Murray crayfish, as long as you keep to your tight bag limits. And if we all do that, the crayfishing should stay good for years to come. And isn't it just beautiful down here? While I'm sitting here, I'm watching all these wrens. There's a blue wren. There was a male on the mud there a moment ago. Bright blue he was. I don't know where he's gone. I'm just so thankful to live where I live. A bit over an hour ago, it was minus 4.5 degrees. I had a look at the Elders weather, and now it's probably warmed up to probably plus 4 or 5 degrees. But now we've got a bit of wind to go with it. That's interesting. It's a bit cool still. I suppose I better go and check these nets again. It's been about 20 minutes. After the excitement from the last check, I haven't even climbed back up the bank. I've just been sitting here in the sun, chilled out, relaxing. I've actually put the crayfish in the shade over there. Even though it's still quite cold, I just think they'll like it more in the shade. They'll feel a bit safer. Now, because I've got my bag limit, and one of them's big, I'm going to check them now, then I'm going to put them back in and just give them one last soak. And then I'll head off. I've just had an awesome morning here. I just cannot complain at all. I've done exceptionally well. Right, what's the call? 1. Feels heavy enough for there to be something in here, and there is 1. Oh, look, that could be an upgrade as well. I could have upgraded the other small one, or has it got eggs? No, she's got eggs, this one. Good to see. Good to see. I don't think she's as big as the oversized male that I threw back. With males, I just lob them back in. With females, I like to get a little bit closer to the water if I can. It's not always possible, but it is here. There you go, Jenny. See you later, love. Right. Net number 2. And it's feeling heavy. It's 2 in here, I reckon. Finally got it right. And they're both littlies. I'll just tip that upside down. There goes 1. And there goes 2. Finally made the right call. Right, net number 3. These nets have only been in 20 minutes. 1, it feels heavy. This is a heavier net. Oh, there's one under it. That's why. Look, he's underneath. Oh. Now that wood, that's undersized. I can't really put him down. I'd rather have him with my other hand, but right, we're in business. That's undersized, but back when the size limit was 9 centimetres, that was about the minimum size. That's how, there's quite a big difference between 9 centimetres and 10 centimetres. I might as well just throw this one back in. It didn't seem to affect that other net last time. I threw it back in, then went and caught 4 in that net. Alright, let's check this one. This is the net that had 4 in it last time I checked it. One, and he was only just in, he was on the edge. Either he was on his way in or he was on his way out. He's probably undersized, he's certainly not an upgrade, so I don't think he'd be legal, but he certainly would have been under the old laws. Right, let's put him in for the final soak. Righty, last soak. Right, the nets are in for the last soak. I'm going to see if I can upgrade that smaller, the smaller of the 2 crayfish in the bucket. If not, then that's okay. I can't complain. I've just had an amazing morning this morning. It's been an epic morning of crayfishing. I've got some lovely crayfish, a number of legal size ones, oversized, undersized. I reckon I'll give them about 45 minutes. With crayfish, if you leave the nets in too long, they'll come in and get a feed and then they'll leave. Or if they break a bit of meat off, they'll walk out of the net with it so that they don't get caught. Some people ask me, how long do you leave the nets in for? There's no sort of set answer. It's not just 30 minutes. 30 minutes is a good starting point. If the crayfishing's slow, you might want to leave them in for an hour. If they're really biting like mad like they are this morning, 10 or 15 minutes might be long enough. This morning, half an hour. I think when I caught 4 in one net before, I think the nets had been in about 35 minutes or so, or 40 minutes. And that seems to be working for me this morning. So I'm going to give these 45 minutes, then I'll come back and check them. Like David Beckham. Righto, I'm going down for the final check of the nets, but check this out. There's the 2 sticks that I went and got earlier to stick in the mud to stop my floats from getting dragged away by the current. Thankfully it didn't happen because I've left him here and forgotten to take him down the whole time. The time I do remember is the time that I'm taking the nets out. Check this out. To some people, this may look like I'm littering, but I can assure you that I'm not. I was on the phone to a friend of mine a few minutes ago. I've actually got a really little bit of phone service here, and a big sea eagle flew over. He was flying quite low and having a look around, so these last bits of fish offcuts and stuff, I'm just going to leave them here, and I reckon that sea eagle will find that one. That one's still frozen, but I reckon the sea eagle will find them. If I leave all these plastic bags and stuff here, that's littering, but I'm not. I'm taking that back up with me when I leave. But this bit of meat here, this fish guts and stuff, I'll just leave that out in the open like that for the eagle to find. One day last year, some of you may remember, in one of my videos, I went to check my net and I'd actually forgotten to put the net back in the water and it was on the bank. When I went to check that net, there was a big sea eagle flew off. It would have been, I didn't realise at the time and it didn't dawn on me, but he would have been getting the meat out of my cray net. Anyway, I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes, then I'll check them. Right, I'm just about to go and check these nets, but before I do, I've just done a quick Google. It takes around about 9 years for crayfish to reach the minimum size of 10 centimetres. I actually knew that bit, but the next bit I didn't know. So it takes, they're a very slow growing species, and it takes about 9 years for them to reach maturity, and they can live up to 30 years, or they usually live up to about 30 years, and they have been recorded to live for up to 50 years. Wow, that bit I didn't know. I knew it took them 9 years to get to legal size, but I didn't know that they've been recorded to live for as long as 50 years. That's as old as I am. So a crayfish born when I was born in 1975 could still be here somewhere in the river. Isn't that amazing to think that? Righto, last check. Can I catch a 50-year-old crayfish? It doesn't feel very heavy. One little one is my guess. Oh, I guessed well. One little one, not even little, but he's undersized. There you go, mate. There must be a difference between undersized and little. So based on what I read, that it takes 9 years for them to grow to legal size, that was a bit undersized. So that could have been 6 or 7 years old, that little crayfish that I just threw back. Isn't that amazing? One thing I do know about fishing in general, whether it's crayfish or finfish, is that slow growing species are more vulnerable to being over harvested by fishing pressure. And that's one of the other reasons that we've got such a tight limit on them, on crayfish. Right, what's the cause? This is really heavy, this. Something big in here. Two 7-year-olds. I prefer these black nets over the white nets. They're easier to frisbee out onto the water, and they're a little bit lighter, I reckon. They seem to be anyway. Look at the mud on this rope. All that mud that's about to be on my hands, well, already is, and it's still not very warm. This net's been a bit of an underachiever the last couple of checks. I had one under the net before, didn't it? I don't want to say it, but it feels heavy. I'm glad I didn't say it. Yeah, it's I think going from those little black nets to this net is why this one always feels heavy, because I've just come from them ones which are lighter. But yeah, this one hasn't done much the last couple of checks. I can hear the crayfish moving around in the bucket. I can also hear a king parrot up in the trees. This is my final chance to upgrade the smaller of those 2 crayfish. How did I go? It feels heavy. Wow. Oh, I might have done it too, you know. There's a little weeny one. It's a 4-year-old. And here I think I've got about a 20-year-old. If that hasn't got... Oh, it's got eggs. There'll be no upgrading. I was going to say, if that hasn't got eggs, that might be a good upgrade, but... Look at that. I wonder how many are in there. It looks like there's probably 100 or more, 150 maybe. I wonder how many will survive. Something else I learnt when I was researching Google while I was waiting for my nets. They mate in May And just before the winter they mate and they carry the eggs, and the eggs hatch late in spring. And then the little babies will stick to the mother. They'll stay under there until they shed their skin 2 or 3 times and just grow a little bit. And then they're on their own. See you later, Jenny. Information overload this video. Thanks, Google. I've got some of my scraps over there for the sea eagle, and I'll put that bit back in there. And that'll sink down and that can fatten up the crayfish. That can grow a bit faster. Right, there's the plastic rubbish. Now I'll go get my bucket. Oh, better not forget my cray measurer. Just loosely laying on the ground there. Pick up someone else's rubbish while I'm here. Jarvis Walker landing net. You guys okay? Look at them. Good as I bought one. Right, I've left nothing behind other than that little bit of meat offcuts for the sea eagle and a few footprints, and that's it. I've picked everything up. Wow, I've been so blessed. I am so thankful to live where I do. I'm just so lucky. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you've found it a little bit informative and entertaining. Thank you all very much for watching.